Hey, welcome back. We've got another Italian one today. Actually, this movie was made in conjunction with Spain. I don't know how to pronounce this one at all, so take a look at that poster. This is the opening credit theme song. It's very short, it's going to fade out here. So this translates to in the folds of the flesh. This movie is insane. Not really a good insane, but it's insane. Okay, let's talk about what's going on. Supposedly it's a giallo. Okay, so it's another giallo, another Italian giallo. I guess, but like it's not really a murder mystery. This one is so weird. Okay, first of all, it opens up with a little kid staring at a decapitated body. That's the first thing you see in this movie, okay? We're looking at this little kid, then it kind of like flashes forward to the present day. Present day, someone's burying a body. So it's like really crazy right off the bat. Basically, this story is about these three people that live together, and their relationship is a little bit ambiguous. But it's two women and a man. If we go back here, you can clearly see the two women there. For whatever reason, they decide to leave the dude out. And same thing here. So these posters would have you think that the two women are like really the main two, but the guy plays just as much of a role in it as these two women do. So anyway, what's going on? The blonde woman here, the main one, she invites men in, starts to sleep with them, kills them, and then they go bury the bodies. That's like the pattern. So it's an Italian movie. I watched it dubbed in English. Unlike many of these Italian movies that I've been watching where they are clearly speaking English, they're clearly not speaking English in this one, so I assume they're speaking Italian. But it is dubbed in English. I did find another version online that was all in Italian, but didn't have subtitles, so I just went with the English version so I knew what was going on. Although you don't really know what's going on even when they're speaking in English because the plot makes no sense. So we've got these guys coming in, they're getting killed, they're burying the bodies, then they put the bodies in acid and reduce them to like bones, and then they keep the bones in the basement. They live in a small castle or tower or something like that in Rome, and we get all these guys coming, but then the police come and they're saying that there's a killer on the loose. So a killer has escaped prison, and then he comes in, and then he goes in there. By the way, I'm just going to say the entire plot because it's all insane, and it's not good anyway. So if you want to put yourself through watching the insanity, go for it. Although it's one of those movies where like hearing what happens is actually cooler than like sitting down and watching it for 95 minutes. So anyway, this killer comes in, and then he like takes the three of them hostage. Now, this is point A of why this movie is bad. Because every time they take in a guy, the guy comes in and they end up cutting the guy's head off with a sword. And there are swords on the walls of basically every room in the house. So they're like armed all the time. And then this killer comes in with this little pistol. He's fat, he's out of shape, and he decides that he wants to have sex with the two women. And so he makes the man that lives there tie up the two women, which he may or may not be related to. He also is definitely having some kind of sexual relationship with the blonde one. He makes the guy tie them up, and then he makes the guy watch him have sex with them. This entire time, the guy who is watching is supposedly horrified. He's like sprawled out on a piano, like banging on the notes. Because he's so disgusted that he has to watch his two family members get raped or whatever. But, like, there's swords all over the walls. he could just kill the guy, but he doesn't. And there's also shotguns on the walls too. Like there's weapons everywhere. And the guy is like sort of holding a pistol while he's having sex with these two girls. They don't really show the sex scene, but it kind of just shows him like take off the girls' tops and like kiss their like sides or like kiss their like clavicles or whatever. Anyway, they end up killing the guy later, but he could have just killed them now. Like he didn't. The girls didn't have to get raped. Like they just got raped because it's like an exploitation film. So it's not really good at all. Anyway, the way they do kill the guy is great. So it's not totally worthless to see this, but this is the best part of the whole movie. He wants to take a bath because he's been in jail for 13 years. So he wants to take a bath, and so they draw him a bath. And for whatever reason, in addition to all the weapons that they have cyanide pills. So above the bathtub is a cuckoo clock. And they put the cyanide pills right in front of the cuckoo door. And then while the guy's taking a bath, they, like the cuckoo bird comes out and pushes the cyanide pills into the bathtub, and then it kills the guy. So I thought that was creative. That was good. Then they come and get him, and then the blonde girl's upset because she said she liked him, and then she says that the guy in the house just killed him because he was jealous, because he was like a real man. I'm like, he definitely just raped this girl, so that's fucked up. Then they take the guy, they dissolve him in acid, just like they do with everybody else, and so on. It's just a pattern. Like, the main conflict of the movie was that guy came in, and there is no mystery at all here in the whole movie, which is why I say I'm not really sure if it's a genre or not. But there's about half an hour left of the movie, and then all of a sudden, a guy flies in, okay? There was no, like, foreshadowing that some other character was going to come. It just... like, the first hour is basically the police come, they alert that there's a killer coming, the killer comes, they kill the killer. That should be it. But the last half hour is just this guy shows up saying that he's the father of the blonde girl, and then he tries to have sex with the blonde girl, and then the guy comes in and he's like, why would you try and have sex with your own daughter? And he's like, this isn't my daughter. Who is this? And then he asks the dark-haired woman, where's your daughter? And he said, she goes, she's dead. And he goes, show me the body. So they go to this graveyard, and then they find, like, the daughter's grave, and then they exhume the daughter, and then they break open the coffin, and then there's a skeleton in there. And then the guy's like, that's not proof that that's your daughter. That's just a skeleton. I can't tell that that's her. So, as it turns out, here's the big reveal. Like, I'm blowing the whole movie, I know, because you don't need to see it. But he knows that the blonde girl's not his daughter. And then he's like, where's my real daughter? Oh, his real daughter is in an insane asylum. Okay. So then they get the real daughter, and the real daughter comes back. And then the girl in the blonde hair is like, well, if that's your real daughter, then who am I? Because apparently she really thought she was his real daughter. So then it turns out that she is the dark-haired girl's daughter, and the guy that was always living there is the dark-haired girl's son, even though they all look the same age. And then the son realizes, wow, I've been having sex with my sister, even though I didn't know it was my sister. I thought my sister was dead. And then the girl says, well, my father's dead. I cut his head off with a sword, so you can't be my father. And he's like, no, I am your father. You actually cut this other guy's head off with a sword. And then it's like, oh, like the last half hour plays out like it was some kind of mystery that we've been trying to figure out for the whole movie, but none of it was something that we were even aware of for the first hour. Like, the last half hour is a different movie than the first hour, but with the same characters, and it just like doesn't work at all. Like, so anyway, that's probably long enough to talk about a bad movie. Lots of crazy stuff happens. Lots of people's heads get cut off. Lots of people get dissolved in acid. There is a crazy cuckoo clock kill. So I would give it a 4 out of 10 just because like it never was boring. It probably would have been better if I watched it in Italian with English subtitles because the dubbing was like worse than average, even for a 1970s giallo. It was pretty bad. And just like the dialogue in English didn't make sense. So I guess if there were subtitles, it wouldn't have made sense either. That's all I'm going to say about this, which is probably a lot. But I just watched it last night, and I needed to get that out there while it was fresh. You know, on Wikipedia, there's a list of horror movies from 1970, and this one's not on there, which that tells me that it is not a very well-known movie. I found it on a different list, a list of every giallo ever made. So I'm trying to get through it. You know, it's obviously a horror movie, but it's just so off the radar that it didn't make it onto the Wikipedia site, the Wikipedia list. So that's it for this one. Lots of giallos in 1970. Some are great, and some are weird, and some are weird and great, but this one's weird only. All right, I'll see you next time.